have two things happening tomorrow. What's one of the two?
Two tests.
Point for that, Eric. Be specific. What's one of the tests?
Workshop.
Truth tables and workshop. I heard Bailey, I heard Madeline. Out of points. Okay. Let's go over both. That way we're on the same page as to what it's going to be on. I have changed my mind as a typical woman knows about one thing, so we'll need to get on the same page about that. Let's start with the workshops. If you have your old workshops, let's go through them. We're going to start back at the beginning, and like I told you I would today, we're going to say, like, hey, Eric, study this one specifically. That way he knows exactly what to study. There are 10 questions on the math workshop test. There are 10. It is a 100-point grade. You do get your old workshops. That's why Eric has them in order that he can get to quickly. If you don't have your old workshops, that's on you, not me. So you got to get it together. Goodness, hiccups. Okay. And I know there are some workshop questions we've never answered. And, of course, those are not applicable for the workshop test. Okay, so 811 is the first math workshop I want to look at. Table 6 out of point. Y'all all were, like, watching me and paying attention to everything. I appreciate that. Okay, if you were wanting to study for the math workshop test, there are questions like 1 through 10 on 811. There are 3 of them. I think 2 of them have a minus sign, and 1 of them has a plus sign. So maybe Hunter just wants to look back over number 3 and number 6, one of each. But he could look over all of them, though. He's got 10 options of things to look over for the math workshop test. Okay, so there are 3 out of the 10. I'm already telling you 3 questions that look similar to, let's say, number 3 and number 6. Okay, after 811, your next math workshop should say 821 at the top. Should also say discrete, little things in life. Okay, so yours says 821 at the top. On that one, you want to study, it's not your favorites, you want to study 9 and 10, specifically part D. There's a problem on the workshop test that gives you an equation and you have to turn it into standard form. So 9 and 10D. No, AX plus BY equals C. Okay, that's a good question. Chris, was that you? It was you? You can have a point back now. 821. Okay, so 821, 9 and 10D. And then also 821, number 12. I know there's something like this where it's 2 people and you have to decide both are right, neither are right, why, etc. So I know there's one similar to that. Okay, that's all from 821. If you go to table 2 out of point. If you go to 828, 828, 1 through 5 with FOIL. There is one FOIL question, so those would be good to reference for the FOIL questions. I had someone first period who had forgotten what FOIL was, so if that's you, that's for sure what you need to study 1 through 5. Exactly, it's in the kitchen. I would also suggest number 18. There's not one really exactly like 18, but the thought process of we had to eliminate and figure out what was the right answer choice, there's one like that. It's not exactly like 18. In fact, my note is terrible, but I wrote questions sort of kind of similar to 18, but not really. So the most similar to is number 10 on the math workshop test. To me, the most similar was 18 with the thought process that Tyler had to use to answer it. Okay, and then, so that's it for that one. Let's go to 9-4. 9-4, it should be your day because there's a question similar to 1 and 2, meaning, let me show you my key. So in 1 and 2, we, the first set we had to give the graph. The second set we had to give the word to describe the graph. The one on the test gives you a picture of a graph and says what parent function describes it. So if you're given a parabola, say quadratic, If you're given a line, say linear. If you're given an absolute, say absolute. So you just have to say the words to describe the parent function. So it's like a combo. It's one where they give you a graph and they ask for the word that describes it. So I would study that. And I would also study number 4 at the bottom, because there is a question that you're given a graph and you have to say whether or not it's a function. What should you reference if you're trying to decide whether or not a graph is a function? Thank you, Matthew. You're going to put that. The vertical line test. So either Tyler's going to say yes by the vertical line test or no by the vertical line test. I don't care if he calls it the pencil test, as long as he references there was a test. Okay, that's all for that one. Go to 9-11. 9-11. Okay, so 9-11, I would study one of the factoring cues, like 1 through 6. You know, of course, we've done a lot of factoring problems lately. There's going to be a factoring. It probably involves a GCF. So 1 through 6 would be good to reference. And there's also a radical problem, which we're going to talk about in just a second. So I would also study 7 through 12, like simplifying a radical. Okay, and then that's the end of my rant of things to study. Because to be honest, yes, I realize you have a 918 and you have a 925. But the truth is, on 918 and 925, we were still doing the same thing of can you factor, can you simplify a radical. So if Sydney needs to study more of those, she can, but I think she's got it, so she might just look over a couple and she'll feel good. Okay, so we are going to do today's math workshop simply because I want to talk about the question on the math workshop test and what I'm going to give Sydney if she gets it wrong. Okay, so on the math workshop test, because I only wanted it to be 10 problems, I didn't want Keyshawn to have too much to do tomorrow. There's a problem like this, where you have to simplify a radical, but darn it, Ms. Compton included variables and exponents. I get that this is our first day to discuss that, even though he should already know how to do that. But if he doesn't, I'm going to give him, it's a 10-point question, I'm going to give him 7 out of 10 for just reducing the radical, for realizing it's 4 times 6, so that's 2 square roots of 6. He's going to get 7 out of 10 for that, and he can scribble out the variables if he wants to. 7 out of 10. So he's at a 97. If he wants to understand what to do with the variables, with their exponents, I think about powers of 2, because it's really an understood 2 here. So I just divide everybody by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so an x gets to come out. 3 divided by 2, it doesn't go in evenly, darn odd exponent, so I back up to 2. 2 goes in at once, and I would have 1 left over. So it ends up being 2xy square root of 6y. If you never understood that, you never understood, like for instance, why there's an extra y, you can always do something I call circle buddies. So I actually wrote out x squared is xx, y to the third is yy. And then if there's a pair, they get to go on a date and leave the house. There's a pair of x's, they went on a date. There's a pair of y's, they went on a date. But that one y doesn't have a date, so he has to stay home and stay under the house. Now, that's not a bad idea, and it will always work. But Brandon understands he doesn't really want to put h to the 11th. He doesn't really want to write 11 h's and then do circle buddies. That would kind of be tedious and annoying. He can, but he probably doesn't want to. Okay, and then you're going to love these words. Since these are a little more difficult, and my gosh, I'm pulling them out on a Monday, we're going to make it a double point Monday instead of getting 1 point for answering the math workshop question. If you answer the entire thing correctly, your group will get 2. Number 11, any volunteers? Yes, dear.
M squared.
It is. 4 divided by 2 is 2. It's m squared. But again, if Brandon wants to do this circle buddies, one pair went on a date, another pair went on a date. That's why it's m2. Perfect. Your group gets 2 points. Next problem, d to the 5th. Yes, Matthew. Okay, that's perfect. Again, with the circle buddies, you could say there's 1 pair, there's 2 pairs, and then there's 1 guy left. But seriously, what I do in my head is I say the next closest even number is d to the 4th. D to the 4 divided by 2 is 2. I have a d left over. Okay, you get 2 points for that, Matthew. Yes, Allie, number 13.
A to the third, B to the fourth, and then square root of B.
Perfect. 6 divided by 2 is 3. She backed up from 9 down to 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. She has 1 left over. But seriously, if you circle out the circle buddies, you'll get the same answer. You get 2 points for that. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'll give you the G4 and the, say it again. Did you say H11 over 2?
Yeah.
You know that's wrong. And the J6. If someone in your group can help you fix it, I'll give you both points. Otherwise, I'm going to keep one of them. Oh, you get 1. Eric's going to fix it.
I said G to the 4, H to the 3.
Yes.
J to the 6 with a H, square root of H.
Perfect, and you get the extra point. In fact, Eric, you can have 2 for it. Okay, so yes, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Jackie was right with that. I get 11 divided by 2 is 5.5, but we don't get to work like that. We actually have to back up to 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. I have 1 left over. Or seriously, no one really wants to do this. But 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1 circle buddy. 2 circle buddy. 3 circle buddy. 4 circle buddy. 5 circle buddy. 1 left over. So ace to the 5th and 1 left over. It will always work. Okay. Oh, number 15. That is one group that I hadn't heard from. Interesting. Curious and curiouser. Eric, go ahead.
I said 8, W to the 6, and the square root of W.
3 W to the 6, and then square root of what?
W? Wait, hold on. The 6, and then like square root of W. I had to drop like 1. 2 divided by 12 is 6.
I'm agreeing with that. I'm mad at your 18. I'm mad at how you simplified your square root of 18. I get that the 3 comes out, but what's left under the house? You can get 1 point. Can someone help me fix it? Yes, dear? Yes, you have the other point. Okay, so Eric is going to get, again, 7 out of 10 points tomorrow. If on this problem he says, forget W to the 13, square root of 18 is 9 times 2. I know the square root of 9, that's 3. I leave the square root of 2 under the house. You get 7 out of 10 for the pink. Now, he is clearly going to get the last 3 points because he understands 13 back up to 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. I have 1 left over. That's perfect. Perfect. Okay, are there any questions about this? Okay. Then let's talk about you picked up a worksheet on your way in. Pull it out. Let's talk about it, and let's talk about your truth table test tomorrow. Okay. The worksheet was supposed to be good practice for you, and we're going to do it after we do 2.2.1. You're like, Ms. Compton, how are you expecting me to do this much today? Let me show you why I expect so much, because 2.2.1 is going to take no time at all. This is all still pending. Your group did finish 2.1.3 like you said you did. There was one group that said they did and did not. Speak of the devil. 2.1.3 should have been finished with a negation, and some people's were not. So, no. Not yours. Yours is not the book I graded. Okay, so this next one that we're going to do today is actually really easy. It's about Nancy. She goes out on the town. It actually requires a little bit of common sense, not just this understanding of logic, but it requires a little common sense. So here are all the places that Nancy could be. P, she's at home. Q, movie theater. R, grocery store. S, clothing store. T, trying on clothes. U, buying food. Okay, and then they ask questions that relate back to those statements. So, for instance, let's look at number 1. If P is true, so Nancy is at home, is Q true or false? Q, Nancy is at the movie theater.
False.
So if she is at home, can she be at the movie theater? No, so false. Unless she has a movie theater in her own home, which you would put true if she has a movie theater in her own home, or false, she's not at the movie theater. Either one, again, it's up to you. And then it'll keep on asking these kind of combo questions, and it's really pretty easy activity. You can see how she could be buying food at the grocery store, but it makes no sense that she's trying on clothes at the movie theater. Sounds like something, you're not trying on clothes at the movie theater. I'm trying to convince you of anything. So again, we got to use our logical sense. There are only 11 of them, and you see how quickly we went through one, and you don't have to draw any truth tables or anything, so it won't take you long to finish. After that, you got your truth table worksheet, which I'm going to post the key to on Google Classroom later today. We're going to call this your study guide for your truth table test tomorrow, even though, to be honest, it is way harder than your truth table test tomorrow. Why is that? 2 points. I do want your test to be easy, but why is this harder than your test tomorrow? I do want you to do good. I do want you to do good, but why is this harder? What is this different? What's different?
If you can do this well, you can get on the test. Too much stuff on.
How? Say it again, Allie.
It's a bigger truth table.
Yes. So how many variables are in this one? 3. P, Q, and R. On the test tomorrow, only P and Q. But on the test tomorrow, I'm not filling it in for you. So if you've not got the TTFF, TFTF, Lord Jesus, I don't know what you're going to do. Okay, there is a column on the test that has an and. There is a column on the test that has an or. There is a question on the test that has a not. So if I was studying for my test, Hunter, you had a nice question. Okay. Nancy on the town? Okay. So if I were studying for my test, yes, I would look back over that, but I would also look at a basic truth table with just P and Q and simple statements like P and not Q. Seriously, that's about as hard as it gets on your test. Now, I did lie to you because I changed my mind, because that is my prerogative in life. I told you there were going to be how many questions on the test? How many did I say? 10. I did not say. There are 10 on the math workshop test. How many did I say were going to be on the truth table test? 5. I originally said there were going to be 5. I've changed my mind, and there are 7. That one of them is just listed not P. My God, if you can't P and not P, Lord Jesus, what can you do? There are 7 questions. It's still going to be worth 50 points. So that means there's 7 points each. 7 times 7 is 49. So Jacob gets a pity point for writing his name. You're at least going to make a 1 out of 49 for taking the test. Okay, so this one is way harder than what your actual test is going to be tomorrow. Which Tyler can, if you can handle this complicated PQR one, surely to goodness you can handle a simple PQ one. So this was really a confidence booster. I can handle this one, so surely to goodness I can handle the simple one on tomorrow's test. Okay, are there any questions about this? I finally, for the love, have your other test graded, so I'm going to show you that as well, as long as